Okay, I think we can start and other friends will keep joining us. Nina, would you like to start?
Okay, I found it so useful last time about fear and clinging to self conditions, all kinds of fear. And Sarah explained that is endless. And then Sarah gave a good example that she had some difficult situation, and then Ajahn asked, "Is the seeing now?" And we can test ourselves when there is fear or thinking about death or some problems. And then is the seeing. Yes, there is seeing all the time. And then there can be no fear. But we don't really understand yet seeing. So I'm always very grateful when Ajahn explains again and again about seeing now. It's never enough because the idea of self comes in all the time, like self-seeing.
So the only way is the way right understanding develops secretly, very little, very gradually at a time. But it's the condition until it appears as the understanding of what is there instantly, little by little, until it appears well as it is. Nothing is there with it, just only one single reality is there. See how keen it is to begin to understand that actually, even right now, there's no one and nothing at all. But it seems like as soon as one opens one's eye, and even right now, one is all around with things and people and idea and thought about what is there. Unknowingly that there is thinking after seeing right now, instantly. But it's not just moment to moment, because there are many moments of different jittas in between too. That's the way it is. Just understanding develop to understand better and better, gradually, little bit. That's the only way it is.
But the thinking comes in so quickly, and it seems there is still seeing, even though in theory, but still it's hard to distinguish.
That's why what is there can be known gradually, no expectation, whether what is there to be known at all. Otherwise, it's wrong. Understanding again and again and again, even just very little, very slight, it's there. That can be known, that it's still there. That's why right understanding develops, that's all. No one at all. Nothing can be done at all, because that's the way all Dhamma arises and perform its own function. They arise together, but they do not know each other at all. And that is the understanding of what is what. That which experiences the object and the object is not the same. Everyday life, only the words of the truth can be moment of not forgetting what has been heard about what is there now, little by little. Great patience to let go the idea of I can do or I will do. And right understanding has to be right understanding of that which is now appearing, little by little, one at a time, one characteristic only at a time. But usually there is the idea, follow up, everything appearing as it has been accumulated. Just think about what is there. Not enlighten the truth of that which is there as no one and nothing at all. Until conditions are ready, no one knows when, but it's there instantly. Another's. That's why life goes on with more confidence of another. As long as it's something, it's atta, object of clinging, as something is there to be clung to, unknowingly.
Yes, as something, but we don't realize that we think of something. We think, okay, we know seeing, we know thinking, and we don't realize that we take it for something.
Until it's not I or we or anyone at all. It's just right there when conditions is at that very moment to condition such moment of how much understanding is very gradually developed to understand what is there now as we have learned the truth never change, such a confidence, kanti, until no one. That's why the right awareness arises with understanding of the characteristic of that which is now appear, but not as it is, until only one reality begins to be known, different from the other, by conditions, not by me or I.
But there tends to be some impatience because I think life is so short and there is not much time to realize the truth.
But when there's no fear of death, it can be time to be ready to die any moment, even right now, understanding the moment of true citta arising and falling away instantly. No gap. Who knows? It's not the process of seeing or hearing, smelling, tasting, touching at all. It's that just like what is there now in between the processes. That's all. When there's no fear, it's time to understand the truth anytime, even right now. So the best moment in life is understanding the way it is. No one dies. Only the end of the succession conditioned by karma to arise and fall away. On and on and on until it ends up this life and begin next life instantly, 2 moments. Seeing again as before death, after new life, hearing again, but not as it's life, that's all. But there must be seeing again just right now, hearing again just like now. So it's just like now, different moment, that's all. But it's the end of one karma to condition that life to go on because the karma is ended. So death is there by conditions, and then another karma condition, new life next moment, instantly, see again, hear again. As now, just like now. No thought about death. Then after birth, it keeps on going and going just like this life. So if you don't think about death and birth, it's there as any process now. There must be bhavanga in between. Instead of bhavanga, it is stuti and then birth again, and then see again, just like yesterday and today, or morning and now, this morning and now, or just a moment of seeing right now before they can be hearing it's there. Death, who knows? No one knows that 2 moments at all. That's why no thought about, this is new life, because it's just moment of being such personality and then see again like now, on and on and on.
And we are forgetful of the difference between the reality which experience and the reality which is experienced, which does not know anything. We hear a lot about this, but we forget there are those 2 kinds of realities.
Because the accumulation of ignorance and the idea of self is so very, very sticky, very difficult to touch and wash it away or wear it away at all. But a moment of understanding is there, developing understanding little by little, so very little comparing to that which has been accumulated to not understanding what is there. And clinging is there. Just a moment of understanding of whatever is there, little by little. And understanding what is the meaning of anatta, no one. So as long as there is the idea of I don't know that, see, it's still there. Whatever is there can remind the ignorance and attachment to I. So just only moment of understanding is the way to wear away ignorance and attachment, because of understanding arises instead of ignorance and attachment as before. Little by little, easy life now, nothing can be done, but the understanding of what is there begins to develop, and who knows how much. But normal life, everyday life, is a test of understanding. And understanding is so very truthful because it knows how much understanding of whatever is there at any time, because who knows what will be next moment. That's why the idea of self has to be eradicated absolutely only at moment of Magga, Chitta, Sota, Patimagga. Before that, see, there must be, as usual as now, no, not clear understanding of the truth of what is there as no one, but it's there by condition. This is the moment of understanding which is wearing away the idea of self very gradually, unknowingly, but it's there. Instead of no hearing, no considering of what is there, little by little, until it is direct understanding of that which appears. But even so, right understanding is so very weak because it's not moment of understanding closer and closer to only one reality at a time. The truth is the truth. Patience then. As Upa Nisya Kojara, understanding the anothernness of what is there, to let go the idea of self lurking or around somewhere at any moment. When there's no other way, one can see that only a little more understanding of the truth of this moment is the only way that it's now working its way to understand a little more. At any moment of hearing, it can be 1,000 moments or the whole life's moment, but that's the way it is truly developed to understand what is there as it is, just one reality at a time. To appear well, to be understood, to show up the characteristic of no one very gradually, even it's on the stage. So understanding the path, the fourth Arya Satya, intellectually, firmer and firmer, more confidence, so that the understanding is developed to the moment when it's there, directly understand what is appearing now. But it's so very weak, but it's different from intellectual understanding. So right understand the different moments between no awareness and even awareness arises is so weak, on and on and on and on and on, until they can be a little more skillful. But it cannot be compared to Vipassana Jnana because it's the only beginning stage of understanding the difference between direct awareness with understanding, with araka and upanibandha, little by little, at that very moment, to get closer and closer to understand what is there as it is right now, hidden. And the understanding is now letting go, so very gradual. Ignorance and attachment, which is so enormous comparing to this moment of no understanding clear enough yet.
Ajahn, you stress often the enormous amount of ignorance in so many lives, uncountable, and then we forget, we don't realize how much accumulation of ignorance there is. And that's why we are impatient and we think the truth can be known straight away.
But it's there now, seeing. Sees no understanding of that which sees, and the object which is seen as it really is in a moment, until attention is attending little by little to the reality which no shape, no form is there, experience what is there as the object through any doorway. From time to time, or not now yet, but it's moment of understanding that without that moment, right understanding cannot discern the truth of what is there now as it is. Not there anymore. So nothing is there permanent to be known. Only the nimitta of that which appears to be known. Understanding what is there in life. So when we read the Tipitaka, there is the understanding of what is meant by nimitta, sati, and panya, and intellectual understanding, pariyatti, and upanishya kochara, and araka kochara, and upanibandha kochara. So now, when it is the upanishya kochara, how many times it begin to araka? No akusla at that moment, no matter in what situation. Even there's no understanding of the characteristic of what is there as not self yet, but it's the beginning to understand the danger of akusla. Otherwise, it cannot araka, moment of anger or attachment or doubt. See, the proof is that what is there in life is a test of understanding the truth of it. It's there all day, different realities. How many moments of being aware of the truth of it? That's why we just read again, talk again, think again about the truth. And this is the Upanishad culture, see. Otherwise, nothing can develop without right understanding. Even patience or vidya or whatever is there cannot develop without understanding of the truth. No one there at all. Even it's not just the word, but it brings a little more understanding, not just the word. It's gone. But right understanding has to develop on and on and on in all aspects of daily life to be known, the truth that it's that which is there by conditions, anger, attachment, of ego, or confidence, or what is there, or are by conditions. Passion is there now. What is there is not understood yet. But after conditions, hearing again and again, there can be moment of araka from akusla. Metta, be friendly instead of being angry. What's the use of getting angry? Not at all. And right understanding is the araka, not to be angry. Even just a moment, it's so good, it's so beneficial. Parami is there. Forgiveness, be joyful of the other's understanding and patience and virya to understand the truth of what is there, which is so very deep. Because it's just very close right now. Seeing it's there at the ideas, or we can say at the eye. And the eye cannot see, but it's there. Ayatana. Each word condition a little more understanding of the truth. But not just the word. The truth is that it has to be there, depending on what is the object right then. No selection, by conditions only. That's the way to let go, by conditions. It's so sudden, no time to try to do anything. It shows up as it is, depending on understanding the truth of it, as it's just the reality, a reality which experiences an object. And attachment is not the chief of experiencing, see? Right understanding develops on and on in all aspects to let go the very, very enormous ignorance and understanding even right now from moment to moment. This is the only way. So pity to understand the truth, not to be led by ignorance and attachment, to be atta, to do something or want so much, desire or hope or wish to gain such and such. But what about right now. What kind of reality is there as a child? It has to be just right now to be known. If it's not known yet, from hearing again and again and again, Upanishad culture will be conditioned to be away from akusala. Or at that very moment, even right now, no akusala can arise at moment of kusala. And Buddha taught in all aspects to understand a little more of the truth of whatever is there now. From Dhamma to different kinds of Dhamma, the Dhamma which experiences the object, but not the chief of experiencing, and the Dhamma which cannot experience anything at all, but it's there by conditions. Life goes on with it, not without any reality, because it's just the reality itself which is conditioned to arise and fall away. So death can be now. No preparation, no thought about it. It's time, and then new life, seeing again unknown about last life or previous life at all. So understanding is ready to whatever arises, not to be afraid of. Ananda thought about life at any moment of breath. Naturally, anytime, no time to fear. It's there already when time comes, like seeing right now is there already. Hearing now is there already by conditions. Nothing belongs to anyone because there's no one. Only 6 ways of experiencing an object from moment to moment. Is that true? Satya Parami.
Ajahn, you said daily life is the test of understanding. But when we think of daily life, it's mostly by way of stories, like not getting angry. I was in a situation which is difficult for home care. They had wrong planning, but no anger really. But still, it's me who is not angry, or it's a story of that these people do this to me.
Even there's no thought about I at all. I'm angry. It's there already. See, that's why understanding the subtlety of all kinds of realities, as whenever whatever is there appearing, asava is there. After 3 moments of seeing, hearing, so on, no thought about I, but the I is very deeply rooted. It's not inward, no word, because it has been accumulated with ignorance and attachment. Each moment in the past up to now. That's why seeing that without the development of understanding so truthfully, it's impossible to see the value of the very, very precious moment of beginning to know that what is there is that which can be known, that it can be talked about, it can be considered gradually, little by little, a little more careful to let go. Actually, they are all Dhammas, no one there at all. And whatever arises gone instantly. See, this is the only way to let go. the very, very sticky attachment to the idea of self.
I
If-
too be reminded about asanas because I forget. I think I'm not angry and that is so good. But really, there are asanas, subtle defilements.
at moment of anger, no idea that I am angry, but it's the I underlying because no one there at all. So that which experiences cannot be other person or other being. So it's even we don't say I, it's I, see, because it experiences the object. That's why we don't try to find out or to think how much misunderstanding of that in a day. It's there already. No one can do anything because actually it's just by conditions. So just hearing, considering, understanding little by little, this is the only way. At moment of pariyati, understanding the truth of what is there, that Buddha taught all about just how to understand, not by anyone, but by hearing, considering, on and on, until the truth is then known, little by little, but not direct experience yet. So it's now. That's what Buddha taught, stage by stage. No expectation, but it's so very, very subtle that without right understanding, no one can see the subtle clinging to what is there until time comes, because understanding begin to be very, very clever or very, very skillful, little by little, to know what is there as it is, even if so slight or very little. Right understanding has to know it. Otherwise, it's there. It cannot be eradicated. In order to be eradicated, whatever is taken for something or I in life, from moment of birth up till now, it has to be understanding of what is there. No selection by conditions. It can be developing understanding of seeing right now, because sati is there little by little to begin to understand the characteristic which just arise and experience what is there at moment of seeing. It's there, sees. Until it's time. But the understanding is not clear enough, it's not keen enough, it's not skillful enough, that there can be the understanding of how very little of understanding, even at level of intellectual understanding, because of not yet upanisya kochara to araka, see, moments of akusala before to have less and less now and on by conditions. Even if so strong, right understanding can understand it. So all depends on right understanding only of the truth of what is there now as it is, little by little, because it's not the stage of very skillful satipatthana, understanding what is there instantly, as it is a reality right then appearing. No expect at all what is there to be known by conditions. So the way to let go ignorance and attachment is so very subtle, but it's there at moment of understanding, beginning from the attending to that which is there. See, as a reality, so real, but the truth of it is not known, because it's only that which can be seen. It has to be understanding of that only when there's more understanding of what is seen. It's no one and no thing. No one can change it from being something like usual to begin to understand a moment of what is there. So a moment cannot be anything at all. It's only that which can be experienced only by the reality which sees it, or hears it, or smells it. Moments of experiencing from moment to moment in life, and then gone. Even death or birth is there anytime, like seeing and hearing. And now the understanding of this, letting go, little by little, unknowingly, how much is there, wearing away, until time comes when right understanding can understand more of the characteristic which is there, and clear after, stage by stage, from one stage to another stage so long. Even after the first vipassana jhana, yata prinya, tibitirana prinya, so long, comparing to the accumulation of ignorance and attachment and wrong understanding, eons and eons, uncountable eons.
Yes, like you said, Nina, we spent a lot of time thinking about different situations, different stories. And Lian and Tam Tan, who are here, will remember yesterday they and some other Vietnamese and Cambodian friends came over and we discussed this topic. So now it's just seeing, it's just hearing. But when we think about the story of what will happen to me and what will happen at death, then it's a condition for fear. So it's always forgetting about what is here now. And that's why there's fear about what will happen and this and that and one problem after another. And I think the reminder that I had mentioned was with regard to when you were talking about some difficulties with your father, and Ajahn just reminded you, what about seeing now? Because if there's understanding of seeing now, just this is life at this moment, this is the world now. And at the moment of seeing, there's no thought about this problem or that problem or what will happen at death. It's just the thinking that follows, thinking about different stories, one after the other, forgetting all about what life is at this very moment. So that's why the only way is to understand more firmly, more confidently about this moment. Touching now, just softness that appears, no body, no leg, no table, nothing at all. And this is the world right now. Tam Tan, who is here, was asking about different situations about, oh, what about the result and going to prison of taking drugs and this and this and this. We can think about one story, one situation after another. But seeing now is the result of past karma. Hearing now is a result. But the stories about going to prison and this and that has nothing to do with the understanding of reality. The reality is taught by the Buddha. So we live in the world of stories and conventional ideas about causes and results, but usually no understanding at this moment of just what appears. And that's why there's one problem situation after another. And of course, there's bound to be thinking about the difficulty with your helpers and the difficulty with this and that. But the thinking is real. The helpers, the prison, the conventional ideas of dying, these are not the realities. It's just the thinking now, the fear now, the clinging now. Another friend who came yesterday said his purpose of studying the Dhamma and developing understanding was to change and improve his character, his personality. And we discussed the clinging whilst thinking about trying to have no fear, trying to have more metta, trying to understand. It's such a hindrance to the development of understanding of what appears now. So much clinging, but usually it's unknown because we think, oh, well, it's related to Dhamma, so it must be for a wholesome purpose. But clinging is clinging. So clinging to I, clinging to being a certain way, conditions all the disturbance and unhappiness and problems in life. So it's a good topic that you brought up for everyone, I think.
So here we are in this world, and birth is then conditioned by kusala, not a moment of akusala. But if we consider how many moments of akusala, it's a miracle that we are still born now here in this world. There's sort of very little chance then to be rebirth as a human and that we can hear Dhamma.
But isn't this another story about another situation? What about the thinking now, oh, there's so little chance, and what will I do, and what will happen to me if I'm born in a unhappy realm, and now it's precious, so what should I do? This is still all thinking and clinging to the idea of I and my life and my birth and my death. Because actually each moment of seeing, each moment of hearing is conditioned. And the birth in this life is the result of kusala karma, but it's not kusala, it's just result of kusala karma. The seeing now is not kusala or akusala, it's just the result of kusala or akusala karma. Who knows at this moment whether the seeing is a result of kusala or akusala karma? It's just a moment of result and then gone. And we're not afraid about the seeing now or the hearing now or the feeling that arises now, because they're just realities that arise and fall away. So it's only when we think about the long story about, but what if my birth is an unhappy one and this is a precious opportunity, then actually it's wasting time. Instead of just understanding what life is at this moment, we're thinking about, well, what will happen in the future? And we never know from moment to moment what will happen. Along our corridor, one of our neighbors is in her 90s. And she has a walking frame like yours. So she reminds me a little bit of you. I think she may have even come from Europe originally. And then I met her during the week when we're always we all try to help her. During the week, I met her. And she was so unhappy because her daughter, who had been perfectly healthy, suddenly died of a brain clot, just like that. Perfectly good health, and then just died. No one expected the daughter would die before the mother. We never know what will happen. But as Ajahn was stressing, it's just another moment, and then another life, more moments of seeing, hearing, thinking, just like now. And so for that one, different life, different citas, no fear of anything. But of course, for those left behind, like her mother, a very unhappy time.
Yeah.
We just never know each moment. Who knows what seeing we'll see next, what thinking we'll think next, what hearing we'll hear next, whether it will be pleasant or unpleasant sound, what touching we'll touch next. just each moment, each reality by conditions. And this is the way that there will be a little less fear because of understanding what life is, what the world is at this very moment. Does anyone else have any topic they would like to bring up today?
Sarah, you said a few weeks back that you cannot trust your own thinking. Maybe you'd like to say a bit more about that?
If I recall correctly, I think the point is that we try to work out what is the truth. But if it's not what the Buddha taught, it's just our own thinking, our own idea, our own speculation of how things are. For example, one may think that, oh, the first process after being born should be this way or that way, but we have no idea. Or we may think that there should be dosa as an asava in the sense door process, or lots and lots of little points that we think and consider. But we have to hear and consider what the Buddha taught, because our own speculations can't be trusted at all. So it has to be what is understood now as taught by the Buddha. Before we heard the Buddha's teaching and someone said, what is seen now? We would say the television, the pen, the notebook, and be totally sure this is correct. It's an example of how our own thinking, our own judgment cannot be trusted. There has to be the hearing of the truth and the careful considering in order for understanding to develop.
Yes, I seem to remember you said it, that we need to listen again and again because we can't trust our own thinking. Because I think we go off course all the time, with our thinking, trying to do, or as you say, thinking about the situation. So many different aspects to thinking going off track by conditions. Can't do anything about it. Yeah, that's a good answer.
And I'd just add to that too. I think it's that because we, excuse me, Alan, because we've accumulated so much ignorance, unless there is that commitment to truth, to the reality that appears, we're very vulnerable in a way to go off track. Yes, we can say that we have got a certain degree of confidence and trust in the Dhamma. That doesn't mean to say that our thinking can't take us off track sometimes, because we lose our moorings to the truth when there's just thinking, as Sarah said, speculating about this and that. That's not the commitment to truth at that particular moment. And Ajahn talked about this a little bit earlier on when she talked about our thinking will reflect our accumulations. And our accumulations mostly don't relate to the truth. They will relate to, our accumulations and our tendencies, proclivities, whatever our asavas, whatever has been accumulated. And often there's not much truth in there. And so there's that, what just been alluded to a moment ago, the continual considering carefully, the continual hearing, listening, that will help to consolidate the nature of truth rather than just our version of it, which, if we look about us today in the world, we'll see that all about, this, they think they know about the Dhamma, or yes, we can say there is facets of it that they certainly can appreciate. But unless there's that adherence to and commitment to the reality that appears, then we're inclined to go off track and be misled into, that dream-like. Well, I won't use that. We'll steer away from that. We use that word at the moment. Where it's easily to become, we can easily be misled into thinking that I know the truth, or or something like that, which of course, yeah, it can be. We're very vulnerable, I think, Alan.
Yeah.
To fantasies and delusions, because we know ourselves. Many of us have been listening for quite a while. Sometimes some of us for many, many years, and we'll know that with the nature of the levels of ignorance that we've accumulated, we can still think and say and sometimes do very foolish things. So it's unless we've attained to Sota Patimagga, then there is that we're not in the safety zone. Prior to that, we're vulnerable. We're vulnerable beings. We can be born at any moment, as Ajahn was talking about. Yeah. So I think it's a good point initially that Sarah made there, that it's easily to be misled by our thinking. And of course, the more accumulations of panya, sati and panya that there can be, well, that's got to be a benefit to anybody.
Thank you. Well put. Yeah, well said. I think it can also help us to be patient to others, because we ourselves can't do anything about our own thinking. We go off track all the time. So we can't expect others to be on track. Because it's conditioned. It's just a conditioned moment by previous accumulation. So the more understanding of that there is, then that will condition more patience in a situation where others should be behaving differently to what we expect. Yeah.
That's also well said. And also I'm thinking what you're talking about there too, as I read it, Ellen, is having more metta, which is embedded in patience in many ways, because there's an appreciation, as you've alluded to the different accumulations that not only that they have, but also that we have. We're all vulnerable to think and to do foolish things, or to think in ways which are not in accordance with Dhamma, truly. And the more patience there can be, the more friendliness there will be, to be helpful, to try to assist that person. And I always believe that by doing that, of course, there can be metta at those moments. It doesn't have to be, of course, we know that. But the more inclined we will be to be more patient. And even then we know that when we think about patience, it doesn't mean to say that there will be metta. So we have to be very skillful and very honest with ourselves, as much as our accumulations will allow, to enable wisdom to grow, not within our own field, but assisting the other. So it's a continual process of being truthful, and I don't think that's easy by any stretch of the imagination.
Also, I think it brings home the point that the more understanding there is of the present moment, of this moment, the more that is the condition to be more patient, to be kinder, not somebody or someone trying to be kind. That's just impossible. So it has to come down to pure understanding, which conditions wholesomeness.
Yeah, totally, because what you're referring to there in many ways, is the Upanasya Gochara, the commitment to the reality that appears, which will, of course, support more of that and lead on to better and deeper understanding of the other gochuras. So it's an ongoing process, and there's no way around that, because that is that commitment to truth, being truthful to the truth, as the Ajahn says. And the more of that there can be, well, that's always got to be a benefit to all. We think think of the present conflict in the world and the kind of madness that is about us at times, different ways and different levels. When there are those moments of sanity and commitment to truth, then there's no conflict there, and there's more conditions for metta.
Mm-hmm.
Back to your original question, Alan, this is why the questioning and the discussion, no matter by Zoom or live discussion or by writing, is so important, because if our ideas and understanding is not questioned, then we just keep following our wrong ideas. And a friend yesterday mentioned that she prefers to listen afterwards because she doesn't like to be questioned. But it is the questioning that really helps one to consider what is true and what isn't true. And otherwise we may have our own idea of, for example, karma and the result of karma in conventional ways. I'm doing good deeds and going to prison or having a nice holiday are the results of good deeds, these kind of ideas, or the drought or the rainstorm in the countryside being the result of karma. So we have all sorts of strange ideas if there's no questioning of what we read, what we think, what we understand wrongly. As one knows, one can read and be an expert in the Tipitaka, one can be an expert in Pali, but with no understanding at all of dharmas. So without the considering, the discussing, the questioning, it is very easy to go wrong, and one's own ideas can't be trusted.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Thank you.
Leanne or Tamtan, I don't know if you have anything you would like to bring up from the discussions yesterday, or any comments on anything so far?
I have a question, Sarah.
Go ahead, Tamtan. If you can turn your video on, it would be great. Everyone appreciates that, but otherwise carry on.
Can
Good.
you see me now?
Thanks, Tamtan.
Thank you. Just regarding about what you said earlier, that we need to understand what's happening now. Like seeing, hearing, touching, smelling. So my question for you is, should we learn about karma and result of karma, or condition as well? If we only need to learn about reality, experiencing that kind of thing. Yep. Thank you.
So seeing now, is seeing karma, or is it the result of karma?
Seeing is the result of karma.
Okay, so when we learn about understanding seeing, we are learning about the results. So we wish for so many things in life, but actually the seeing, the hearing now is what has been wished for already. So it is the result. And what is the reality of karma?
It's happening now.
What is karma now? What is the reality? Because if we say happening now, what does it mean? Like even when we talk about
reality
seeing,
there is there is an experience,
There's an experience at every moment in life.
Yes.
So seeing is an experience. Seeing arises, sees its object. It's a result experience. So there's experience at every moment in life. So what is the reality that is karma?
Reality of karma. Isn't it like thinking?
Thinking is chitta. So
Yes.
the chitta is the thinking karma? So is the thinking now karma?
The thinking. Like we said, karma is the result.
No, we said the seeing or the hearing is the result. Yesterday you mentioned vipaka. So it's the
Yes.
vipaka, the result of karma. So seeing or hearing is not karma. It's the result. So at the moment of result.
Talking about the
Yes.
chetana.
The chetana is karma.
Yes.
And at which moments in life does chetana arise?
Is now.
It's now. It's at every moment in life there is chetana. At a moment of seeing, there is chetana. At a moment of thinking, there is chetana. At a moment of hearing, there's chetana. At a moment of getting angry, there's chetana. So there's karma at every moment in life. Karma is chetana. But when it's the chetana that arises with seeing or hearing, it's the result chetana. It's a result of previous karma, that chetana that.
Yes, that's vipaka. Yes, I understand that.
It's vipaka. But at the moment of thinking, just thinking about liking the melon you brought, there is chetana there, but it's not chetana that is strong enough to bring results. It's just a moment of chetana that coordinates the other chetasikas and the chitta to perform their functions. So chetana is there at that moment. But if the chetana is so strong that it prompts action, for example, prompts stealing or telling a lie, at that moment when the chetana is of that strength, it can bring a result later. It can bring the results by way of birth and following moments of seeing and hearing. So we're always talking about dhammas, about realities. The point we discussed yesterday is if we think about, doing something bad like taking drugs and then having results like going to prison, this is not the discussion about dhammas. This is just conventional ideas. Because now, whether now at home or in prison, there are moments of seeing, moments of hearing, which are the results of good and bad karma. Who can say at this moment whether the hearing is the result of good or bad karma? So it's just for a moment. The result is just for a moment. The chetana, the cause, is just for a moment. Whatever we're discussing, it's a reality just for a moment, not a conventional situation. And the point I think we were also talking about is, whilst thinking about, well, what will happen if someone goes to prison and this and that, but what is the reality now whilst thinking about this and that situation? The reality is just the thinking at this moment. So the point is there can be understanding of the world that appears now, the thinking at this very moment. This is more precious than speculating about whether it's the result of good or bad karma and what will happen to me in the next life, or what about in prison, what kind of result is it? What about understanding now the thinking now, the seeing now, the hearing now. This is the way that all one's questions are answered, by understanding a little more about what life is now.
Yeah. The question I asked you yesterday is also relating about the karma and the result of it. So I give you an example for like someone killing. I'm using concepts to explain the story. Someone is killing, and then therefore he have to go to prison. So you can see the result happening straight away. So it doesn't work like that.
So is there any killing right now?
Because from the
what
example
about,
I give it to you,
I'm talking about our experience now. Like now there's seeing, there's hearing, so there can be a little understanding of seeing or hearing. Or we mentioned touching of the softness. There can be understanding of the softness. Thinking now, thinking about the prison, thinking about killing. There can be understanding of thinking now. These are dhammas, not self. But when we think about the story of someone killing and the result of going to prison, it's not any understanding of what is true right now, the world at this moment. So we study the Buddha's teachings to get closer and closer to understand what life is at this moment. Otherwise, we just keep thinking about one situation, one story after another, but forget about understanding Dhamma now, Dhamma that is conditioned and anatta. Not anyone who goes to prison, not anyone who kills, no one to be found.
Yes. It's a very deep topic, yes.
That's why there has to be the letting go of clinging to
yes,
oneself, the idea of the other, the idea of this person in the prison, in order to understand what the world really is at this very moment. The world now is not Israel and not Ukraine and not the prison and not the killer. It's seeing now, it's pleasant feeling now, it's hearing now, here and now.
I have just a quick question for Tam.
yes.
Can we say, or is it our experience in life that things happen to people that don't seem to have any cause, as far as one can tell, in their conduct?
Of course, there's a cause for what happened to that person in their conduct. Yes.
Well, doesn't it? You gave the example of a person who kills and ends up in jail, but some people, for example, end up in jail even though they didn't kill or do anything wrong.
If that example, yes, you're right.
Right.
For that particular example, yes.
Good things and bad things can happen without any apparent cause preceding it.
Right.
So how do you explain that?
Can't explain yet. You don't know. We don't know.
Right. So isn't it just speculation when we say that a person goes to jail because they killed, so this is karma vipaka? Isn't it just speculation?
Yeah, it can be, yes. It just happened to, it matched like you kill someone and therefore you get caught and then you have to send to.
But how
you have
often
to
does
go to
it
jail.
match? How often is there a match between what a person does and what happens to them? Is that your life, as far as you can recall it, that there's a match between
Yes.
what you did earlier and what has happened to you later? Is that how you you see your life?
John, I be honest, because this is I learned from my mom. My mom used to teach me this way, and I teach my children the same thing. I say, you don't go to the supermarket to steal this, otherwise you get caught, and then you have to go to jail. That kind of thing.
But
so there's the cause and there's karma, you know.
But if it's true, then it has to apply all the time.
Yes. If it's yes.
Of course, parents will teach their children not to be naughty, because if they're naughty, then bad things happen. But this is just to be understood as a way of, I don't know, teaching discipline. It's not talking about the way things are in reality. It's not talking about the operation of ultimate truths. So it's just a conventional, useful thing for parents to tell their children.
Right. Yes, there's some cases, you know, like people go to jail for something they don't do it. There's some cases like that.
People get very ill, for example. Children get ill and die at a young age. So where is the cause of that in their present lifetime?
Right.
It's happening all the time.
Yes.
People who live a good life have very bad things happen to them.
Yes,
people who live a bad life manage to become rich and be comfortable and live to a old age.
Yes.
On the proceeds of crime. So
yes,
where is the? So there has to be something else other than what you heard from your mum at a young age.
Yes. Now I am learning Dhamma, so I need to, consider, to reflect on what we learned. Yeah.
Dhamma is deeper than the superficial things that people talk about generally.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Leanne, did you want to add anything?
Savadika Tanajan, and hello everyone. Sorry, I stepped away from the computer and my phone earlier. Actually, in one of our Dhamma, small group Dhamma discussion, there was an argument that relating to the point that Tamtan just made, that there are two types of samadhi. So one is, we always talk about, is to have a correct or right understanding about non-self. And the second type of samadhi is about understanding karma. And during that discussion, there's a lot of talk back and forth about similar thing to what Tamtan just raised. And then I make a point that it may not be useful now, because firstly, we don't know which result is caused by which karma. That is not something for us to know about. That is the something that we can't really discuss about because we don't know anything about it, and it's not useful. So for that, and one friend raised that point, saying, of course, it's more useful to talk about realities. However, there are two types of samadhi, like I just said. So understanding karma is still something, necessary. I think that's why a lot of people still concerning and asking or raising this sort of question. So I want to hear more about that title, samadhi, about understanding karma. Please.
Perhaps it's time to let Ajahn add her comments because we're running out of time a little. So Ajahn, would you like to discuss this further with Tam Tam and Lian?
There are so many realities unknown, but it can be known because what is there in daily life is just seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and experience it through the mind after seeing, hearing, and so on. Is that true? What is there in life? Is it just only seeing, or there are other reality as well, which is not known? If Buddha didn't show us what is there in a moment. For example, we are talking about karma, the word karma. What does it mean? The deeds or the action. Usually we know that is karma, killing, stealing, and so on. But what is there? As it is, no one there at all. So what is it? A condition, killing, stealing, and so on. That's why we can learn about what is there in a moment. For example, there are citta, the reality, which experiences what is there. See, if we consider carefully, there is a reality which experiences what is there. So true right now. And that is the chief, because without it, nothing can appear at all, no world, no thing. But since that reality arises and experience what is there, so what is there is real at that moment. But what is there is not just that which arises to experience the object at moment of seeing. There are also conditions for its arising too. So we learn to understand little by little what is there in a moment of seeing, hearing, or thinking, little by little, because there cannot be anything just arise alone without conditions arising together. That's why we learn about the truth. There are different types of reality. One experiences the object, no matter by way of being the chief of experiencing, or by way of ignorance, no understanding at all of that which appears, or that which is attached instantly, unknowingly, to whatever appears, different realities. So now, when we talk about karma, what is it? Is it a reality? So we learn to understand that which is karma, karma pajya, or that which is karma. Whether is it the seeing karma, is hearing karma? Not at all. What are there together? So many realities, not just only one or two. That's why learning about the truth of any word we use, like karma, is it real? Is it a reality? Or is it someone? See? And how can we know about karma, the deeds, through body, speech, or mind? But that is the way it appears, like killing and stealing and so on. But at moment of whatever arises, is there what we call karma too? See? It needs careful considering the reality which is there, which doesn't do any harm at all through the body or the speech or the mind, but is there as karma too, as karma pajya, the reality which is karma and condition each moment in life. See, to be kusala or akusala, or even at that moment it's not kusala, just the result of what is there has been done before, to see, to hear, and so on. And in truth, what is it? Karma. We have to learn to understand that characteristic which is real in every citta, different ones, to be kusala or akusala, or vipaka and kriya. So what is that? See, it's not feeling, it's not memory. So what is it? See, is it there now? At moment of seeing, hearing, any moment, it's there as kamma pacca, apacca for each moment to arise. So, learning to understand it as a reality at any moment, different by what other Jetasikas arising together to condition such different deeds or speech or seeing or hearing. That's why we learn to understand just one reality at a time. Otherwise, it's just the idea about the word that is that which condition deeds and speech and so on. But at the moment of sleeping, is it there? Kammapaccaya. So what is it? Not citta, right? Not that which is achieved of experiencing whatever is there appearing every moment. So what is it? It's not phassa, it's not vedana, but what characteristic is there to be known as kamma? To be known as kamma. See? Can attachment intend to do anything? Or it arises to be attached? Only function to be attached to what is there, which is taken for something. Or even when it's not something, there is still attachment, different levels, with or without understanding, or with wrong understanding. That's why we learn a little more of the truth of a reality in a moment, to know more that it's not I or anyone at all. It is itself as a reality. It has its characteristic, its function, and what appears is there can be known. What does one do? Even just stretching out one's hand, is there any intention to do? And there is attachment to do. But attachment is not intention at all. So learn to understand. Usually we can understand the kusala kamma or the akusala kamma. But in truth, the kamma itself, the reality which is there, performing deeds through speech or body, or even there's no speech or deeds at all, it's performing its function every moment, and it arises with any citta. But it is not that which want is attachment, but that one intend to do. So we can learn in daily life little by little. Is there any intention to do, to go, to buy, to stretch out one's hand, to take a bath and so on? It's there as intention. But dhammas arise and fall away in split seconds. So it's so very difficult to pinpoint which moment it is vipaka, or which moment it is kusala, or what moment it's akusala and so on, because they arise after one and one all the time, very quickly. How can it be known without learning to understand it, no matter it is the result or the cause or that which is not the result or the cause? See, learn more to understand the truth that actually what we take for I have so many different realities, but there can be the understanding of no I, because it is memory, or it is feeling, or it is that which experiences the object as a chief, and so on. So now we can know good deed, good speech, and intention is there, condition, the word and the action, only that. But more than that, it is a reality which arises each moment with any kind of citta. So what is it? Now, sees. Is it there? We don't have to think about karma or vipaka, but the characteristic of a reality which arises with each citta, but different from other cittasika. So it cannot be known without learning to understand that it's there as it is, not as other reality. But we can understand roughly when there is action or speech, intention to speak, intention to do, intention to go, intention to buy. That is a reality which intend to do or to go or even to think. We call it cetana, cetasika, but it's not only kusala cetana or akusala cetana, because its function is it has intention to do. That's why at that very moment it coordinates other cetasika and whatever arises with it to perform the function. It does not order. It does not have to tell anyone which one do this or which one do that. But the moment of intention is there as coordinate the other reality which arise together to perform the function. Otherwise, even there is attachment, wishing or wanting, but it's just wishing or wanting. No action, no deeds at all. Is that right? A reality which is there. We can know roughly in daily life that is that which intend to do, no matter what. Even stretching one's hand, taking a bath, or brush the teeth, and so on. It's there all the time, even at moment of seeing. So we learn to understand the different shades or degrees of the reality which arises with different cetasikas. But its function is intention, which means at that moment of intention, it coordinates, not by words, but by the characteristic of intention. It performs the function of coordinates the other cetasika arising with it to perform each function. See, only that can there be very little understanding of the reality which is there. So it cannot be absent at moment of any seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Any moment in life, it has to be there. A reality which arises, performing the function of intent to do, which means coordinate the other realities which arise together to perform its function. We begin from this moment. It does not show up as wanting to go, but at moment of speaking, it's there. See, different from sanya, different from other cetasika, because there is intention to speak such and such words, right? Even right now, someone is moving one's hand and so on by intention. So its function is different from moment to moment by the cetasikas which arise together. But it's there performing the function of intention, or at that very moment, it means coordinating intention to have that done. I don't know whether it's clear or not, but as much as we can begin to think about it, it's a reality which is not that which sees, or that which remembers, or that which feels. It's another reality. And when it arises with attachment or aversion, it depends on the degree, whether it's that coordinate the reality right then to perform such deeds or speech. or even thinking at that moment to kill or to steal or to do good deeds or to help and so on. Without it, the other reality cannot have such intention coordinating the others to perform the function according to the intention itself. As much as we can understand that there is a reality like that. That is what I try to understand it, because when it does not appear to be known, it cannot be known. Even at moment of right understanding, it depends on what level is there. But it cannot understand, but it's there. Coordinate the other reality to perform the function by. It is that which intend or the intention to have such and such reality arise.
I think it's a good topic, Tam Tan and Leanne. We can continue it on Monday or next Saturday. So if you're free to join us on Monday, we can continue then, otherwise next week. So thank you very much, Ajahn and everyone. Sawadee ka.